Hello everyone, so as I said on yesterday's video, depending on when I upload this, I uploaded a video on Tuesday of a physical media haul. I did say at the end of that one, if you've watched that or made it to the end, as I know I was going on for nearly 40 minutes again, I did say I would do a ranking of my, top 10 favourite French extreme films and then sort of 5 honourable mentions. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tag anyone in this, but if anybody wants to do like a response or anything, feel free. Yeah, I don't know. Even the people like Marcus from Xbox 2708, Ash from Hot Call and Horror, Hills from Hills on the Hunt, are into their sort of extreme horror, foreign, but especially French. Yeah, I'm not sure if they've got sort of 10 or so of them. Yeah, even though there's like the sort of famous top 4 French films, and then there's a few others not as known, but yeah, I mean, I've got 15 of them, and that's pretty much all the sort of French horror in general, not just extreme. Yeah, I've not really got any. The only one I didn't include actually was Them, which I'd say is a bit more of just like a sort of scary home invasion kind of film. It's not extreme or anything, whereas these are what you class as like the French extreme movement. I will start with showing this honourable mention just because this kind of came along before the French extreme. So yeah, I think not really a spoiler to say ones like Martyrs, Inside, Frontiers, Irreversible, the famous ones. Don't think they came along till like I want to say to the 2010s, from like 2008 onwards. Correct me if I'm wrong. Whereas this one was from 1990. It's gory in that, but let me show it to you. Baby blood. So yeah, it's gory, but when you watch it, it's a bit more of the style of Evil Dead, Brain Dead by Peter Jackson, Reanimator, where it's gory, but it's sort of done in an over the top. It's not really a comedy like those. It is kind of played serious, but yeah, it's not even that it's that cheap and low budget. It looks funny. It's just done in a schlocky kind of over the top splatter kind of style, where yeah, you see a lot of gore and things, but I don't think it really is disturbing. Unlike some of the ones we'll get to later, it's not just the visceralness of the gore or the sort of brutality of what happens. It's sort of the emotional baggage attached that I found disturbing. I'll speak about them when I get to them. Yeah, I heard about this years ago, and it just never had like a UK release. I was looking at importing it 12 years ago, but yeah, I think then it was like 25 quid plus for like a Region 1 DVD. So yeah, not one you really expect Studio Canal to put out, but I guess it is a cult classic. So yeah, obviously I watched this. Obviously I kept my copy, but then when I sent off Christmas present to Roy, I know Roy's a fan of his French cinema, so I did get him a copy in CEX. I think it was quite a lot cheaper, so I paid about 15 for that when it came out, a few days after it got released. Obviously stuff comes out on the Monday, I got it on like Thursday or so. And then a few months later, yeah, I seen it was in a local CX. I think it was for £8 or £10 with the slipcase and the little postcards and things inside. So I sent it to Roy. Roy's not too big into his sort of extreme, heavily gory stuff like some of us Lords of Darkness are, but he did actually enjoy it. And I think Stuart also picked it up. Stuart George. I think I've got one of his videos to catch up on. No, I actually just watched that one and commented. So yeah, I think Stuart might have seen it, but I don't know if he spoke about it on a video yet. But it is an insane film, as Roy alluded to when he was talking about it. The premise, I'm gonna say when it sort of starts. I mean, they're calling it here: a parasitic creature bursts out of an animal's body and crawls into Yanka's uterus. Roy described it as a canal, and it's not the Suez or the Panama Canal. Is all I'm going to say. Yeah, it's gory, it's fun, but it's not really effective. You're not going to be sort of traumatized after this. Maybe that's what you want. I kind of quite enjoy films that disturb me or sort of leave me feeling like I need a shower afterwards, but not everybody's as dark and sick, I guess. But yeah, Baby Blood, first honourable mention. Next honourable mention, just because this is not French, but it's Belgian, and I think it's got a lot of French people in the production. so I'll just mention it. It's The Ordeal. Oh, a lot of glare on that, aka Calvaire, I think you say it. Yeah, when I first got it, I did think it was a French film, and I used to talk about it as a French extreme. I mean, it is French language, so yeah, I guess these are French language films, not just films that are made in France. There's another one we'll see in a bit. It's set in Japan, but I think it's made by a French cast and crew. But yeah, I think this is Belgian. Might be filmed in France. But yeah, really disturbing, gory. Quite gory, but it's more about this how surreal and that it is that gets to you. But yeah, I thought I'd just show this. Give it a shout out because this is getting released on Arrow Video, I think like the 16th of February. So I will be upgrading because yeah, this is one of my, I say favourites. One of my, I can't even say enjoyable. Yeah, these aren't the kind of films you enjoy, the kind of films you experience. But even though I don't enjoy them, I sort of have fun watching them. Is that the right thing to say? But yeah, if you're interested in these kind of dark, it's surreal, but it's kind of got the sort of feel of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the kind of, yeah, I mean, it's saying here, if you cross Deliverance, Straw Dogs, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but with a continental flavour and a lot more sexual assault and things, so then, yeah, that's kind of what you get from The Ordeal. But yeah, I will be picking that up on Arrow Video, so I will send you a photo, Hills, but if you don't have this one, it's a Tartan DVD one. I don't think it's out of print, but I think it's quite a lot hard to find in CEXs and things, so yeah, as soon as I pre-order or whatever, the Arrow Video version of The Ordeal, so I know I've got it. So I don't want to give this away and then it sells out and I've got no version of The Ordeal. Most people, I guess, would rather live their lives without an ordeal, but yeah, I'll send this one on to you, Hills. The Ordeal. This I did speak about on recent watches. It's quite a slow film. It's Gaspar Noé. No, sorry, Gaspar no. No, Ash did tell me how to say it, and I already slandered him by saying it wrong. I think Ash said Gaspar Noé. Or Gaspar Noé. Oh, I can't remember. Sorry, Ash. But yeah, it's I Stand Alone. This one's more sort of depressing and disturbing than it is sort of gory or anything. It's got a few moments, as it says there. Warning. Viewers are advised that this film contains scenes of graphic sex and violence. It's not anything more extreme than you usually see in, especially films by this director. Yeah, I'd say it don't go as far as Irreversible, which doesn't really carry a warning. It's a bit weird, it sort of carries this warning, kind of overhypes it a bit more, but yeah, it will be one that after, sort of the next day after, you feel a bit depressed and bleak, and yeah, it's a few scenes that will kind of stick with you. One bit with a pregnant woman is all I'm going to say. But yeah, I'm going to call him Gaspar Noé. There's no way that's right. I Stand Alone. This is another Gaspar. Let's just call him Gaspar. Gaspar the Friendly Ghost. Another one by him. I'm guessing it's pronounced Lux Aeterna. Aeternae? I'm not really sure. I don't know Latin very well. This one is only 51 minutes long. I don't know if that counts as a feature film. I thought it had to be over 60 minutes. It's not the most entertaining one, but it's worth a watch if you're into filmmaking, just because it sort of shot. Let me just quickly read if I can find. French cinema icons Charlotte Gainsbourg and Beatrice Dalle are playing themselves. Star as the lead actress and the director of an experimental film about witches, but as preparations for the shoot get underway, the increasingly chaotic production slowly unravels as egos and bitter resentments rise to the surface, threatening to derail the entire enterprise. Shot over just 5 days and largely improvised by the superlative cast, Lux Aeternae is a powerful hypnotic assault on the senses like no other, cementing Gaspar's position as one of the most incendiary voices in cinema today. It's only a 15, but it contains strong language, sex references, and sexual harassment. I guess in France, they're quite tolerant of all these kind of things. Don't even make it an 18. Yeah, it's a weird one. Like, it's kind of a play, and like it says, it's improvised. It's worth watching. Yeah, it's got a few sort of disturbing bits in, but I thought I'd mention it just to make it up to 15 more than it's that sort of noteworthy. And then this, maybe my least favourite of Gaspar's films. This is the one that's set in Paris, but obviously, well, he's an Argentinian director that makes everything in French language, but it's a French cast, French crew. The language is actually English in this one. I mean, yeah, saying here, the leading exponent of new French extremity. Yeah, it's got like French actress and things in it. So yeah, I guess it's sort of not completely French. That's why it's an honourable mention. But yeah, Enter the Void. Found this one quite slow, quite boring. 161 minutes. 18 contains strong drug use, real sex. It's not really a spoiler to say. Some guy basically dies, has an out of body experience. Once he goes out of body, you've seen it from his perspective, but his like, not his ghost, I guess his like consciousness goes travelling, and it looks through different windows in apartment buildings where people are doing private things. So it'll watch like two random people having sex, and then it'll watch some like buddy being killed. And yeah, it's quite out there. I think the guy does like smoke DMT in it, which is like a hallucinogenic drug, and then he goes on a trip. I have only watched it once, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I found it not just a bit boring, but quite tedious, overly long, bizarre and surreal, but not in a way that really grabbed me. So that's why it's an honourable mention rather than in the top. I know it's got its fans, but yeah, for me, probably the slower. I mean, maybe a better made film than Lux Aeternae, but where that's 51 minutes and done, this is 4 times the length, yeah, like 161. Yeah, still brutal, still what you'd expect from Gaspar. A lot of like weird camera angles, white noise, strobing. He just tries to really affect people, so it's not just what you see in the film. He does sort of put a lot of strobing, subconscious like noises and things that make you like feel physically, white noise I think it's called, that makes you feel like physically sick. Yeah, I guess he's not a very kind director, but he gets his message across. Right, so that was the 5 honourable mentions. Took me 12 minutes to talk about those, sorry, but now we're on to the official top 10. Some of these are quite renowned, so I won't talk about them too long. But coming in at 10, Trouble Every Day, a film by Claire Denis. I think she's gone on to make some quite not contemporary, I wouldn't even say commercial, but quite standard films compared to this. Stars Vincent Gallo, Trisha Vesey, Leo Seminu, and then Beatrice Dahl, who was in Lux Aeternae, Inside. She's in quite a few of these French films. This is when she's quite a lot younger. This was originally 2001. So yeah, like 10 years or so before Inside and, you know, her more famous roles. 18, strong, bloody violence, strong sex. Let me just see what it says here. I don't really want to spoil it. Let's see if I can. I mean, she made Chocolat and Beau Travail. So yeah, quite different to this one. Dr. Shane Brown and his new wife June are honeymooning in Paris. Though Shane has other plans for their trip, he is hoping to track down his former medical colleague Leo Seminu. Oh, sorry, he's played by Alex Descaz. I think I did actually name the actor as Leo Seminu. And discuss a past study into the human libido, but Leo doesn't want to be found. He is living in obscurity to hide his own wife, Corre, played by Beatrice Dahl, who has developed an insatiable cannibalistic lust as a result of Leo's outlandish experiments, a lust that Shane is beginning to feel too. Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of sort of quite graphic sexual content. Whilst they're having sex, she'll be like biting their neck open, and yeah, it's got quite, not just quite gory, but the gore is quite explicit. But I think the BBFC, what's always triggered them is they don't mind you showing blood, or they don't mind you showing a boob. I think if you showed blood on the boob, then they didn't like that. They didn't like sex to be mixed with the violence. So, you know, Evil Dead, as much as it was gory and that, and it was on the Video Nasties list, not the official one, back in the day, it wasn't prosecuted in the end, or successfully prosecuted. It's kind of like slapstick gore. And then, you know, there's been some films like Caligula, which does have like real kind of XXX sort of porno stuff in one release of it, but not mixed with gore. Whereas yeah, this I guess is controversial because she'll be like naked, covered in blood, biting someone's like throat whilst they're having sex. So I guess that's what triggers a lot of people and makes it into an extreme. Yeah, I've only watched this once, didn't get this one too long ago. Yeah, a few bits did make me cringe, and that it's not as well made a film as some of these, hence why it's coming in 10th. But it's entertaining. It is well made. It's actually got some, other than the actual sort of gore and carnage, some of the shots and the cinematography when they're outside, and you can kind of tell that, you know, Claire Denis would do Chocolat and Beau Travail and things that were, let's just say, more normal, down to earth films. Because yeah, there are some sort of really good moments of filmmaking, as well as the nasty stuff. Trouble Every Day, but yeah, not my favourite. This I think is one a lot of people won't know. French title is Chitan, but I call it Satan, with Vincent Cassel. So yeah, this is Tartan DVD. This one's never had a Blu-ray or 4K to my knowledge. Directed by Kim Chapiron. I mean, it says here, following in the footsteps of The Ordeal, aka Calvaire, and Switchblade Romance, this demented excursion into the unsettling world of one of modern horror's most twisted families is a truly unforgettable experience. 88 minutes, French. 18 contains strong horror, violence, sex, and very strong language. Yeah, Vincent Cassel, I don't know if you can see him there, absolutely deranged. Usually he plays not really a villain, but like a I wouldn't say he's always the sort of protagonist, but he'll usually play like a more neutral kind of character in a lot of the films, say in Crimson Rivers or Irreversible. Yeah, he's not really usually the creepy one, but yeah, in this he is deranged. He looks deranged. I'd say this is quite disturbing, not just because of the gore and things you see, but it's, without sort of going into it too much, they actually use a lot of can I say, like, deformed people. So there's some guy who's like hydrocephalic with like and it's not makeup and things. There are some people in here, yeah, I think that's what makes it a bit harder to watch, is some of the extras and that are kind of disabled or sort of physically deformed. I don't really care what you can get away with saying nowadays. I've said it. And yeah, that makes it, you know, when it's someone in makeup, like when you watch like Hills Have Eyes, although I guess Michael Berryman's not in makeup, say the remake of Hills Have Eyes, as much as they look creepy, it's just makeup. Obviously Vincent Cassel and some of them are in makeup, but yeah, there are a few people that are just, they must have plucked them off the street as extras because they're kind of, they're abnormalities, shall I say. Strobing effects in this film, so kind of what you'd expect. I'll read the synopsis. I don't think a lot of people know this one. On Christmas Eve, 3 young guys meet 2 gorgeous girls who invite them to spend the weekend in the country. They arrive and meet the maniacally grinning housekeeper Joseph, played by Vincent Cassel from La Haine and Irreversible. That evening, what begins innocently as Christmas dinner turns into disturbing conversations about sex, satanic possession, and evil. As the weekend progresses, Joseph's behaviour only gets more erratic, and the young friends realise their host has made a demonic pact and all hell is about to break loose. I'm not going to say too much about what happens, but it's not as grounded as some of these. It gets a bit more sort of crazy with the demonic edge. Yeah, lots of nudity, violence, gore, but like I say, the thing that kind of makes this a bit more, I wouldn't even say more disturbing, more uncomfortable to watch is kind of, yeah, the strange people in it aren't really in makeup. They're people with sort of issues and things. This one gets under your skin, no pun intended, is Dan's Mapo, aka In My Skin, starring and directed by Marina Davan, with Laurent Lucas, who is also out of The Ordeal and Calvaire, and Leah Brucker. Dan's Mapo is the friend, I guess I'm saying that, Dan's Mapo. But yeah, In My Skin, it's known as. This is a film about self-harm, which is kind of what makes it disturbing, because I guess people can relate to that. You know, even if you've never done it, you probably know people that do. But it's, some scenes in this are so tense. Not really a spoiler to say, there's a bit where she's at the dinner table with her boss, and she's kind of got the knife and fork, like the fork in the back of her hand, and she's like cutting it, but she's doing it under the dinner table, and he knows something's going on, so he's trying to look, but he's not sure. And you're like, is she gonna get caught? And she's doing it harder and harder and ramping it up. And unlike some films, Hitchcock, when he creates tension over like, what's the film when it's not Rear Window, where the lady's sort of in the bed and she can't move? I think it's a Hitchcock one. She's sort of paralyzed, and there's like a killer coming into the room, and it's tense because she's at their mercy, kind of thing. Yeah, it's tense, but done in like a different kind of, almost like a microaggression kind of way. Yeah, it goes there later with the gore. Contains frequent bloody images of self-mutilation. It's an 97 minutes, French language. Don't want to read too much off the back of it. I'll just read the top line. After suffering deep gashes to her leg from an accidental fall, a young research analyst, Esther, becomes obsessed with her body and skin, at first merely caressing her arms, pinching her excess skin and tracing the outlines of the fresh scar tissue on her legs. It isn't long, however, before Esther begins carving new and increasingly brutal wounds into her body. Despite her boyfriend's anger and concern, Esther continues her intimate and bloody quest until her newfound sense of self drives her to increased isolation. So yeah, it's not just what you see her doing. She goes on a downward spiral. I'm not going to say what happens at the end, but there is a haunting scene where she's kind of butchering herself, basically. But yeah, Danza Mapo, that is one I did recommend to Nikki from Skin Crawlers. Had a little poll going on. I think Sorcerer won, probably a better film than that, to be fair, but I did say to Nikki, I was like, be warned, it might trigger some people if you have had issues with self-harm, or people that have, but also, yeah, there are a few scenes, especially that dinner table scene, where, yeah, it is not just you're wincing and cringing, but it puts you under such sort of stress and tension. The way the scene is set up is very clever. Next, sure, everybody knows this one. Let's just call him Gaspar again. With Monica Bellucci, Vincent Cassel, and he tells me his surname, Dupontel. Can't remember his first. I'll have a look if it tells me. Irreversible. Yeah, very clever film. I mean, I'm pretty sure Memento, the guy. What's his name? I've only got it on DVD. I do need to upgrade it, actually. Guy Pearce. The Guy Pearce film, Memento, I've seen that before I ever seen Irreversible, and obviously it's shot in reverse, and it sort of starts at the ending, and you realise something's happened, and he has to go back to solve the crime of why this person has done something, kind of thing. Sort of like that. It starts at the end. I mean, that's why it's called Irreversible, because it's played in reverse. Yeah, I mean, it's disturbing, like I say, where it's got all the white noise and the strobing effect, and when they're in it's like a gay club in it, ironically called the Rectum. When they're in the Rectum, it's all like flashy, the camera spin. It's very disorienting kind of film to watch. That's kind of, there's two sort of disturbing scenes, but it's more the overall feel, the way it's shot, the cameras are upside down. The filmmaking is kind of what makes it disturbing. But yeah, there's a scene with the fire extinguisher, really realistic looking special effects in that, and then the notorious scene with Monica Bellucci in the underpass. It's like goes on for like 9 minutes. It is, I mean, all sexual assault scenes are hard to watch, but yeah, this one, not only it goes on like 9-10 minutes, but it's just so drawn out. It's painful to watch. Yeah, the way it's done, it's a very stressful scene. I think those are the sort of two scenes that are gory. I can't remember any other bits that are sort of too violent. It's more, just the sort of feel of the film and the kind of mindset it puts you in. Quite surprised, really, Indicator have released this, because they're usually known for their kind of classy. Not saying it's not a well-made film, it is, but they're usually known for their non-disturbing sort of sick films. So not one you'd really expect Indicator to put out. But clever film, but one I wouldn't go back to too often, but it deserves a mention in here, because it's one of the most famous ones, probably Gaspar's most successful film, I would like to think. Although this, for me, is slightly higher. Climax. But this The dancing in this, amazing, the best I've ever seen. I'm not too into, watching. You could probably go and watch dance videos on TikTok or something where there might be amazing dancers, but other than Suspiria films, I've not seen too many with like dancing. But yeah, the dancing in here, really good. The music, really good. Some disturbing scenes, some nightmare scenes. Very stressful, brilliant camera work. The setup, very simple, but no one's ever thought of doing it. But following a successful rehearsal, a dance troupe set about celebrating with a party. But when it becomes apparent that someone has spiked the sangria, the joyous atmosphere soon transforms into a nightmarish hellscape of violence and twisted calamity as the dancers begin to turn on each other in an orgiastic frenzy. Pardon me. It's not. You see some sort of disturbing things happen. Without going into it too much, the bit with the kid in the sort of cupboard, very traumatic scene. I think this was maybe the first film of Sofia Boutella. I think she was just a dancer, and then she was in this on her dancing merit, and now she's gone on to be in other films. Correct me if I'm wrong. 96 minutes, 18, contains strong threat, violence, sex references, drug misuse, very strong language. But yeah, I guess for me that's quite a, I say not a fear, it's not something I've really thought of very often. But yeah, imagine you go to a party and then someone tells you they've put a load of LSD in your drink and now you're going to be tripping balls and with a load of people. It's not just the style of it's really good, the colours, like I say, amazing dancing, fits really well with the music, but the dancers are very original. But yeah, later on, once they're under the influence of LSD, their dancing becomes like violent and they're breaking their own bones. And yeah, I didn't really want to go too much into it because there's a kind of film, first time I watched it, I was so caught up in what was happening, I was just like engrossed on the screen. But yeah, for me, this is my favourite film by Gaspar. And yeah, more than just Irreversible on that, which are quite insular films, more about like the violence and strobing and trying to make you feel physically sick as much as they are about like the artistic merit. But yeah, the choreography on the dancing in that is amazing. This one, not quite as extreme, it's got its moments, but sounds a bit crazy to say, but it's a bit fun, I guess, as much as it's got moments, but it's not going to leave you as depressed and haunted after as the top four I've got coming up. But Livid. So yeah, a unique spin on the vampire myth. I have showed this one before, but anyone that thought Abigail was original, which it kind of is as a filmmaking, but thought the vampire girl with sharp teeth, hair in a ballerina dress was created by Abigail, yeah, you might want to look at that picture there. I'll read this bit quickly. Within a vast, desolate and slowly decaying mansion, an aging woman lies in a coma, kept alive by a life support machine. Assigned to look after her, a young care worker named Lucy discovers that the old woman is Madame Giselle, previously a ballet teacher of some repute and rumoured to have hidden great riches inside the house. Determined to find the treasure, Lucy and two of her friends break in at night but uncover a darker secret that will throw them into a deadly labyrinth of supernatural hell. From the director of Inside, you'll see that one coming up. Yeah, so they're basically trapped in a mansion. The lady's on the bed with like life support and a gas breathing mask on. I won't say sort of what happens because it's spoilerish, but she might not stay as incapacitated as you think. And then the house, bit like 13 Ghosts, it all turns and locks him in. That's not really a spoiler to say. It says on the back here they're trapped all night. There's other creatures other than these kind of evil ballerina vampires. Ballerina vampires is not a term I've said very often. Not quite as sort of, 18 contains strong gory horror, 92 minutes, 2011. Yeah, not quite as intense as some of these other films on this list, but it has its moments. Yeah, it's more gory than, some of these like commercial, like American horror films, put it that way, but not too over the top. Yeah, when the gore happens, some of it's like done in a fun way as much as a nasty kind of exploitative way. And unlike some of these where protagonists you care about and like through good character development are getting hurt, the lady I liked in it, but the two blokes that go with her, they're going to burgle an old lady's house, so once they're trapped and they're getting their comeuppance, kind of glad. I think what's the film called when they get trapped in that blind guy's house that they're trying to rob. I do have it. I'm not going to look through a whole collection. I saw someone. Sure, someone will let me know in the comments. But yeah, they break into his house and he's sort of blind and he turns the table on them. It kind of, I think that's probably took inspiration from this. So yeah, I think that's probably inspired. I think it begins with an A. Let me know if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think this film probably inspired that one. Yeah, I think he's a war veteran that turned blind. And they go thinking he's the victim, but he turns the tables on him. That's not really a spoiler to say. And then I think this did inspire Abigail as well. But yeah, if you are going to start into these and you want one that's not too disturbing but has got bits of gore and that, then yeah, this is probably the sort of most mild. When I say mild, it's still, yeah, probably more up there with like Hostel and Saw and things in terms of brutality. But unlike them being sort of torture porn, it's better made, I would say. Right, on to the top 4 now. I'm sure everybody knows these are the sort of most famous of the French extreme films. You've got Frontiers on second sight in this nice case. Obviously, I had watched all of these and had them on the DVDs from like 16 years ago or so, some of them, and then eventually upgraded them and moved on I think this is moved on the older versions, either gave them away to like people like Marcus or traded them in at CX. Yeah, some of them were. This is only a Blu-ray actually with like one single disc. I say this is a bit more action, sort of an action horror rather than just straight up horror. Doesn't give you much of a synopsis, but after a daring robbery goes wrong, the would-be criminals flee to the countryside to lay low. Deep in the rural heart of France, the group encounter a clan of crazed Nazi cannibals who are attempting to create a new master race. So yeah, if anyone's seen like Green Room and stuff like that, it's got a bit of that kind of an angle. Yeah, it's got some strong bloody violence, 18. 108 minutes, 2007. Directed by Javier Gons, who did Hitman and yeah, a few sort of more commercial films he's gone on to do now. But yeah, this woman in this is quite a badass. It's quite yeah, I can't really say too much, but the scene I think bothered me the most when the guy gets trapped in like a pressure chamber, I think it is, and then they like crank up the wheel, and obviously it's like creating more pressure and his face is all like swelling up, and yeah, it looks very painful. Reminiscent, if anyone's seen Event Horizon, the scene when the guy gets caught in the compression chamber, I guess it's called, like the antechamber between the two sealed doors, kind of like that, but even more brutal and nasty. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's fun, but it's a bit more entertaining with a bit more action than some of these ones we've got coming up. But yeah, Frontiers in number 4. I don't know if I've been saying the numbers as I go along, but this one, I think a few people I know would have this as number 1. Not quite for me, but High Tension. So I think this does have a little J card, but I've hidden it behind there. So Angela, if you're watching, I haven't thrown it in the bin. I think this is a 4K set. Let's see if I can get it out. Yeah, Ultra HD, so it comes with the 4K and the Blu-ray. This one, I do enjoy it. It's got some really tense scenes. There's a bit, again, can't really spoil it, but someone's getting hunted and they're hiding, and that is one of the most tense scenes I've ever seen. They're hiding in the cupboard and looking out, and it's really drawing it out. This lady in it is a badass. Bit near the end with her sort of barbed wire wrapped around the baseball bat is really memorable. Loads of memorable gore. For me, the twist, I don't think the twist ruined it, but it didn't work as well as it did. When I spoke to Hilesh from Hills on the Hunt, he's really enjoyed the twist, whereas yeah, the twist didn't take me out of the film, but when it first got revealed the first time I watched it, I was kind of like, I have to watch it again, but I think the twist throws a lot of continuity problems and things and sort of makes it a bit nonsensical in a way. Once I've watched it a few more times, it does make a bit more sense, but for me, I'm not going to say what the plot hole is because I don't want to spoil it for people or divulge what the twist is. But yeah, the twist for me, it worked, but it did throw a few things into question of the way the film's made. Without the twist, this might be my favourite. But yeah, not saying the twist falls flat and I'm like, it's ruined the film for me, but where this could have been like a 9, the twist maybe took it down to like an 8, 7.5 or an 8 or so. But yeah, it's got some really good scenes of gore. Philip Nahon, the guy that's the main character in I Stand Alone, and that as like the sort of killer. Um, who is this one actually directed by? Let me see if I can. No, it's not really giving me much information on this thing. But yeah, this quite an action-packed one. Not like Frontiers, where it's actually got sort of action scenes with like fighting and running and stuff. It's more high action violence, I guess you would say. But yeah, it's pretty intense, pretty nasty. Not as nasty as the next one. I think this is probably the best made film out of all of these, and the film that has disturbed me and haunted me the most of, I think, any film I've ever seen, possibly. But more for the emotional impact than the straight up gore. I couldn't put this as number one because I don't go back and watch it that often. Can't really say it's an enjoyable film as much as I know what's going to happen, and I kind of enjoy in disturbing cinema. There are a few scenes in this that really do cringe me out. I won't say what the ending is, but it ends so ambiguously. It'd be playing on your mind for days. Yeah, first time I watched it, don't think any film's ever played on my mind as much as this is. Let me show it to you. Martyrs. So I did recommend this to Angelo, and he didn't get on with it too well. Yeah, it's not going to be for everyone. It is nasty, disturbing, emotionally draining, traumatizing, but they build up the character, especially Maria, I think she's called, so well that when the stuff starts happening to her, you really care, and everything that happens, you're feeling it in pain. It really draws it out and goes in, and the violence is not even done, where sometimes there's bloody violence and someone, getting chainsawed, it's hard to relate to, whereas the violence is a lot more grounded. Some of the hardest to watch violence I've ever seen. Some twists you won't see coming. Few scenes that are not just hard to watch, but this will stay with you after. See, I couldn't put this at number one. I think it's the best made film. I think it's the most effective, best acting. If the job of these films is to disturb and be extreme, then this is the pinnacle of that. But yeah, I couldn't put it at number one as a favourite because it's not fun, put it that way. It's kind of film you watch when you want to punish yourself. This is my number one, is Inside. So again, with Beatrice Dahl. Directed by... I see their names. Starring... I don't know what's so hard to find. Julia Mori and Alexandra Bustillo. I mean, it's gory, it's intense. There's some scenes that will make you wince. Some is hard to watch, but it won't play on your mind as long after, say, Martyrs, or maybe even like High Tension and Sheetan and a few of those, which are a bit more depressing. Yeah, it's not as depressing. It's a home invasion slasher. I wouldn't say it's fun as such, but it's more entertaining. It's not as bleak and harrowing. It does have its moments, but yeah, I think this is definitely an easier watch than Martyrs. Yeah, once you watch this after, you'll remember some scenes of the gore. There are some very tense scenes. She is brilliant in it as like the home invading kind of lady. That's not a spoiler to say. The fact she's after a pregnant woman's baby, and she's not waiting for it to be born is all I'm going to say. Absolute. Not just the gore is coming thick and fast, but it looks so good, so original, so many set pieces you've never thought of. Really draws out the gore and sort of makes you feel it. Yeah, it's not just like someone gets their head chopped off, it sprays everywhere. It'll sort of, without spoiling it, people she loves and that are the ones getting sort of butchered. So when it happens, it's more sort of shocking to us and to the main character. Not too much I can really say about this. I mean, the synopsis: following the death of her husband, an expectant mother is tormented in her home on Christmas Eve by a strange woman who wants her unborn baby. So yeah, like I say, the gore it is extreme and it will make you wince, but it's not as mean-spirited, I don't think, as Martyrs and ones like that. But yeah, this is the one out of all these I could probably go back to watch the most often, where it's extreme, but because it's done in a slasher way, say you were to watch the original Friday the 13th and it happened to be like loads more blood, loads more controversial kills, to the sort of gore level of like Terrifier 2 and 3. kind of like that, rather than, you know, Sallow, a Serbian film, Martyrs, these ones that are just depressing, bleak, ones that will destroy your soul. But yeah, that's the ranking. I'll just go over them quickly. This will be around 40 minutes. I think I muddled up the order of them. Give me a sec. Yeah, just a recap. So here's the honourable mentions. Enter the Void by Gaspar. Lux Aeternae, also by him. I Stand Alone, also by him. Baby Blood, directed by Alain Robach. The Ordeal, Belgian, not French, but thought I'd give it a shout out. And then I've mixed up the order of these. I can't remember. I always do this. I've only just showed them, so I'm assuming you can remember. But if I just show you the top, go over the top 5 again. So yeah, in the top 5 favourites, Livid at number 5. Livid. Frontiers at 4. High Tension, also known as Switchblade Romance, if you're trying to look for it on DVD or anything. I think the original Tartan video version, might have been on Tartan Terror, was called Switchblade Romance rather than High Tension. I think maybe Switchblade Romance is a better name. Martyrs at number 2. And then Inside at number 1. Hopefully people find this interesting. I know it's quite a niche and not everybody's into French cinema, let alone French horror or French extreme horror, but yeah, I know a few people might find this interesting. Yeah, hopefully Hills, Ash, Marcus, Roy is slowly, we're forcing this extreme horror onto him and he seems to be enjoying it. I'm sure there's other people out there, my friend Al Pearson, into some of these. But yeah, hopefully this will give you some recommendations if you don't know of some of these. And yeah, one of my favourite niches of all cinema. Obviously, as other sort of, I watch like a lot of Japanese horror or a lot of action films from the 80s, you know, films that are set in apartments, films in subterranean. Yeah, I've got certain kind of favourite niches of films, but yeah, French extreme horror has always been one of my very favourites. Sort of first foray I had into extreme cinema and that in general, and although it kind of disturbed me and shocked me, something about me enjoyed it, so maybe that says more about my dark nature. Yeah, that's my top 10 with 5 honourable mentions. I wasn't very prepared as normal, so somehow I've muddled them up and couldn't show them to you in the order again, but sure, if you watch my channel, you're expecting some kind of mistakes, so hopefully you won't be too upset. Right, thank you everybody for watching, bye.